Can you guys see my screen? Hello. All right. Okay. This is Abimbola's code about myself. Okay. Why did you nest this P tag inside this H2 tag? The H2 tag is an heading tag and it is for the displaying text. So I don't think it's proper for you to nest the P tag inside the H2 tag. Okay, that's by the way. Then the P tag, okay. Then you have the about. And why do you not do your website in sections? Like you should have done all this your content in sections. You have tried and wrap them in the section tag. Okay, you make use of the image. Let's see the results here. Okay, nice. Then you use the H4 as a subsection. Okay, contact me. Alright. That's great, but you should have put your stuff into section. Then do a div here, then a nav. No, I said you did a div here, then you wrapped a nav. This is not like proper. This div here, no, why? Because you are not using any navigation and you're using a nav tag, wrapping a b tag under it. That is not like proper semantics. So this is so now we have okay. Then use an unordered list. Ordered list on me. But I said in the last class that ordered list cannot take p as a child tag. The child tag you can take is the li tag. Li tag. That is what the ordered list tag can take as its children. Where it will make use of the li tag to display the numbered data that you are trying to show. But now it won't because you use a p tag under an li tag. So go back, then you use an image, then use your footer, then use p direction. So why did you use that here? Okay, it's not bad. And also, I also noticed something. Um, your title tag is under the body. This is not supposed to be so. It's supposed to be under the head tag. It's a meta tag. So it's a descriptional tag. It's not like a content tag. It's not a functional tag that's going to render something on your web page. It's just going to show the title at your nav bar. Say this also. So those are just the changes. And I also said you should link it to another page. You should give the ability to link. Oh, okay. Let's direction. Okay. Okay. All right. This is great. This is good. Okay. All right. Nice. Now let's check already work offline. Okay. Alright. So we have the head, the title. Okay, yes. This following proper semantics. Then the header, H1. Alright. This is great. Very fine. Then we have the section. That's our H2. Then our OL. Then inside our li tag, we are having an H3. That's semantically wrong. An H3 is not supposed to be inside the li tag. The idea is an H2. So instead, you use a span. Then you style your span with CSS. So you can use an H3 inside an li tag. That's a wrong construction of semantics. That's fine. So um, then we close the section, same thing here. Then we go to the section, a site to build isn't it? So okay, now look at what you did here. This is nice. Span, if you'd like to know about me. Then okay. Alright, okay, this is fine. But this is just the only place. And I didn't see any image. This image are not loading. What's happening? Okay, they won't load. They are not on my computer. That's fine. See, you did it there. They are not on my computer. It's not an image from the internet. It's an image from your computer. They won't load. So it's fine. But I can see your alt tag, your alt attribute. Yeah. Okay. That's nice. Everybody did a great job. But we need to improve on how we write our mathematics and knowing where. Alright. Yes. Yes, because you didn't use an image online. You didn't use an image that is online. You use a image that is local to your system. That's why you are that is why you are using the relative part images and the rest. Okay, okay, then let's review Rookie's work since he's here. That's fine. So, alright, so let's use it. Let's check out myself the HTML. Okay, we have body, title here, header. Okay, alright. Okay, div, rookie, yes. Now, then you have another list. But you didn't wrap your, what's it called? All your another list. You just make the anchor tag their children. The anchor tag is supposed to be wrapped under under a list tag, under an li tag to give proper effect of the another list. But it's not wrapped under it. So I think that's a semantic you need to take note of. And also your href attributes. They have no value. But I think you have the proper way of you are on the right track of constructing things right. But you miss the li tag. Then your href property your href property value are empty. And we go to the main. Why why do you have to have two h1 on your page? Instead, you have made this an H2 because it's at the same level with this other guy. So instead of having two H1, no, then span, this is it. Okay, little this is great. And H2 again. Okay, what I love to know. Okay, this is right. Alright. Okay, and the big tag is closed. Alright, so great, great, great. Then you have the footer section. Okay, your href has yeah. Now this is very right. This is correct. This was how you are supposed to have done the one at the top as well. This format. So that answer is so let's try and so nice. So why do you just link to our image? Okay, this is great. Okay. Alright, okay. Then this is your hobbies page. It's nice. Okay. This is nice. This one. But why do you name um your file with a capital letter? But it's not an issue, sha. It does not mean it won't work. Alright. So let's get to the business of today. So today I want us alright, so I'm listening. Yes. I don't understand. Can you come again? Okay. Okay, that's when you give the attributes. When you give the attributes, yeah, the target attribute. So when you do blank, it opens on a new tab. When you do self and parent, it stays on the same page. Do you understand? Yes. Okay. It's you try the self, but it's not opening on a new space, right? When you give the target value, okay. So I said when you give the target value itself, it was opening on the same page, right? But when you give it blank, it should open on another tab. Am I right? Yes, that's how it works. Yes, yes, it opened on the same page because that page is still the parent of that particular. Like you have not left the parent page. So you understand? You have not left the parent page. So I told you that to read more on things like that, you can use materials like Mozilla Developer Network. Just type MDN. You can just type anchor tag MDN. You can check the obligatory schools to read more about it. Right there. Alright. Okay. Abibola. Okay. No, no. All right. So when you want to host your website like that, so hosting your website, as I told you earlier at the beginning of this course, servers, those servers that you make requests to, they are another set of computers. So when you are hosting your website, it will package the images you need for that website along to the server, so that when somebody that is trying to read your website, or when somebody that is trying to read your website, the browser will know how to get that particular image from your server. Do you understand? So it is because of that. It currently, Ores's computer is the server, and it's a local server. Do you understand? So that is why when his computer tries to open that website on her own computer, she will be able to see the pictures because her computer has access to that her computer, which is the server. But me, on the other hand, she has shipped the code down to me. So it's just like now, me, I'm a user, and I request for that page. But because I don't have access to Oresi server, which is a computer, I can't read out that image. I can't read those images. But at the minute she hosted it on a platform, on a live platform. So they give you a server for where all your images and the rest can be stored. So your site will be working like normal. So all those places you host your site, your website, they are all virtual servers that various people can try to access them with your domain name. So do you get what I'm saying? Alright. Okay. Alright. Okay. So as I said, the design aspect is handled by the web designer. Those are the people that will design the interface for you with tools like Figma, Adobe SD, or Photoshop. Then you as a front-end developer, you are responsible for converting those designs into functional websites or functional web applications, and also integrating things depending on what you are brought in to do. You can also be asked to integrate those things that you have implemented, that you have converted from the design with the backend API. So what the job of the backend is to provide API. They are the one that do most of the logic. They are the one that do the logic things that you can't see, like many logic database things that you can't see, being done from the part of the backend. So that's it. That answers your question. What do you say? Hello. Hello. Yes, I can hear you. Hello, yes, I can hear you. Okay, so it depends on the project. Yeah, okay, so it depends on on the project. Some people might be able to write the front end and also do the design. Do you understand? So some people will do the design themselves and they will code the front end. While in big organization whereby they are a company, they usually get them in different places. Another person will be a designer, then another person will be the front end developer that will create what the designer has designed. So do you get that? Hello. Alright. 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 Okay, so can we move on now? Like, does anybody have any other question? Okay. Okay, just a minute. Hello? Alright, so sorry for the break. So today we'll be learning one of the crucial part of HTML. One of the crucial things that if you don't know it in HTML, it is very important. So, and like it is very very important. There's hardly any if, when there's hardly any time when you want to build an application that you won't be making use of this part of HTML, and it is called the HTML forms. What did I say? It's called the HTML form. It's called HTML forms. That is the field of which the programmer tries to interact with the user to get their information. So I'm sure that most of the sites you have visited, you have always gotten to a place where they will tell you sign up, log in, um, register, create an account, fill in the details, contact us, things like that. So things like that are being powered by the HTML forms. HTML forms. They are called it is called the HTML form. So it is very, very necessary when you are writing when you become when you're going to become a front end developer or as a web developer. Yeah. Yes. Form. FORM. Forms. Form. HTML forms. FORM. ID. FORM. HTML forms. So HTML forms. That is what they are being called. And also we'll talk about the HTML action data, which is the button today. So let's start. So how do the HTML form work? So when you are writing your HTML, so when you are writing your website or your web application, it is very very important to always consider HTML form because these are the way you get information from the users of your website. So I'm coming. Okay. No, not this far. This one. I agree. So this is where we'll be talking about HTML. And starting from next week, I will be introducing CSS. And that is how we are going to be decorating our pages. So let's start with HTML form. So how is the form being constructed in HTML? So there is a tag called form. it is called the form. That's the name of the tag. When you want to create an HTML form tag, you have to declare a form tag, which is f which will be f form. So like that, you have handled the HTML form at its first stage first. You have put in the form, and now let's now create a simple form that says create an account or register to code vixens. So now there are some tags that we call the input tags. They are called input tags. Those those tags are called, some of those tags are also self-closing tags, like I've said before. They are self-closing tags. They don't need they they don't need you to open them and close them. So the way the I showed you one other tag that work like that. So the way the img tag works, that is how the input tag work. Okay, so let's start. So now we have something called the label tag. So this label tag is a tag that you use to describe the form field you want the user to fill, because it is possible in a real world that you should just have, okay, you know the username, you know the person's name, and you don't know the, what's it called, you don't know so the label class, the label tag, I mean, is a tag for labeling any input field that you are trying to refer to. So let's start by calling this label first name. Okay. Now that we call it first name, because you want spelling. Okay. First name. Alright, first name. Alright. Now we need to create the input field for the first name. Now, how do we create the input field? Very easy. There is an input field tag, and the name of the tag is called input. That is just the name of the tag. It's an input field tag, and the name of the tag is input. So now let's go into it. So now that I've created my input, can you guys see my screen? I should take it up a little. Alright, so first name. Now that I've created my first name, now we have to create this input tag. Then you close this input tag like this, the same way you close your img tag, and that is it. But you need to pass in some important properties to input tag. You need to pass in some important properties. So what's the first property? It is called the type. The name of the property, type. So you need to pass it whether the kind of keyword you want that input field to receive, whether you want it to receive letters, or you want it to receive strictly numbers, or you want it to read just numbers. And so that's it. So now that you have put the type, now what are the kind of types that we have in HTML input? The kind of types that we have in HTML input are, we have the text, we have the number, we have the file, we have the file type, which is usually used for files. When you want your user to upload a file to your site, you use the attribute file. You have the text. type test, which we are going to be using for this. If you want your user to type in um letters or alphanumeric, so that is what you use for your text type. We have the number type. This is when you want your user to strictly return just numbers to you. Like you don't want to give the user the ability to type in letters or any other character. You want them to just return just numbers again. Then this field gives you that opportunity. And we have the password value as well. When you give the type of an input password, it automatically hashes your whatever you have pressed on your computer. So we are going to try that here. So let's start now. So we have said first name. We call it, okay, you said the name of the input field is first name, and the type is going to be text. So type in the word text. So, and when you are writing your form, it is important that you should have a label for your form, because this is very important for accessibility. When users that are blind or imperative users with impaired cognitive issues are using your application, it is this label that serve as a guidance to those users on the description of what that field is. So now I will tie this label and input together. So to show that, to use this label to describe the value of the input. So for the input, I'll give it another attribute called the ID attribute. When we get to CSS, we'll talk about how this ID attribute work. So I'll say ID equals to, sorry, mistake on my name. ID equals to, call it first name. So now when you have given your input an ID attribute, you will now go to your HTML and give it what we call the HTML 4. You give it 4. You give it a 4 attribute. F4R. You give it a 4 attribute to show the input field that it should describe. So you give 4. Then you give it the value of your input ID. And the value of our input ID is first name. First name. First name. Spelling is wrong here. So that is why that yellow thing has left in my editor, because I have an accessibility to checker on my own editor. So now you see that this label I've used it to describe this input by tying the ID from this input down to the label. So do anybody have any questions? Right, control. What did you say? All right. Okay. So as I said earlier, the HTML input has various type, because that is the tag we use for receiving input from our users. That is the tag we use for gathering our users information. And when you want to write a form, you need to wrap all your input fields around the form. So if you look at this, if you look at what I'm doing here, I first of all create a form to tell my browser that this is a form, this section is a form. And also you see the importance of it later. So this section is a form, and then I try to wrap one field together by putting the div, by using this div tag. Do you understand? Okay, by using this div tag. Now I want to create an input field that will address the user's first name, that will allow the users to put in their first name. I want to create an input field for that. What will allow the users to create their first name. And now I created an input field and call it type test. And as I said earlier, for every input field, there's usually a type. So there are various value for the type attribute on the input field. But the very common ones are what I mentioned earlier, which is text, numbers, text, number, password. Those three things they are made, and email. Those are the type we have for our input field. But there are many more. We have what we call the color type, but those ones have a way of working. You need to just go and deep dive to learn how they work. So, but the major four that you will see very often on many other websites is the form with an input field of type text, with an input field of type password, with an input field of type image, or with an input field of string. So please, you understand? All right. So now let's move on. Now we are going. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah, I did. So before, so if you watch my code earlier, you will see that when I didn't put 4 on the label, my input was being highlighted as a yellow arrow. It was highlighted with a yellow line. So what this means is that my site is not compatible with accessibility 100% and probably other stuffs. Um, my site is not fully accessible by not having a 4 on my input field. And how do you tie a 4 to a label? So what's the function of label first? Labels are field that help you describe what a form will do, or what you should do, what your answer or value should be on that particular field. So that is what label is. And for the label to work, you need to link it to um for the label to work, you need to link it to with your ID from the input field. For the label to work, you need to link it with an ID from the particular input field. So now, um yes, you need to link with an ID from the particular input field. So now you need to add an ID attribute to your input. When you add an ID attribute to your input, then you use that ID attribute with 4 on your label. The 4 means the 4 value will point to your array value. So when it points like that, it can know that yes, this particular label is the one describing this form. That is what the label is for, and the 4 and ID attribute is for in jQuery for now. In And the 4 will describe the input for now. Are you there with me? Hello. So you get now. Okay, so now let's move on. So now let's also create a last name for our user. Allow our user create last name. So use the form again. But this time, you need to make each of the ID and 4 dynamic. So you make this one last name. It needs to be dynamic. So the last name is going to address the last name. That is where the last name is going to address the last name. So let's try. Okay, I'm coming. So it is going to address this last name field. Let us try and save our changes and see our result on the browser. So can you guys see this? First, the idea of getting over content. So now, let me just put last name and look at it. Last name, I can type in here. I can type in here. And one of the things for the label is when you click them together, when you click on first name, it automatically make the input field combine to be the focus input field. If I click on last name now, it will make the last name field come to focus on this field. So that's how it works. So now let's try and allow our user add email. So are you guys following? Do you understand what I'm saying? So now let's add the email. So now the type in this field will become email. Change it email and change the ID. So it's not compulsory to be email or this ID and for. You just need to give it a unique name that is specific to one input field and one label. So you have the first name, last name, email of the user. So that is in this email field now. If you try to do anything, it will tell you that if you so when we create a submit button, if you try to submit, it will throw an error. It will tell us that we need to make sure that this particular field is a valid email. So what how does the valid email? Whatever it is at dot. So that's how a valid email works. So with this what do you call it? With the email property, the email type file is able to allow email property in the ground. So now let's allow the number property. Now change the type to number. Number change your ID to number. So now let's refresh. Let me show you my update. For the number, you will see that anytime I type a letter, trying to type a letter, it is not going to work. It will ring there. I'm typing a letter on my okay, it will allow the E because of the exponential sign, but if you try to allow type any other letter on the keyboard, it won't appear the box. Only when you type numbers. So only allow numbers, dots, then anything related to number. That is what the input box allows. When you give it type of number, that is what the input box will allow. So now let's move on. And so I thought I mentioned one, like so somebody when I mentioned one email, text, phone, I mentioned one I'm listening. Yeah, okay, so that's a very good question. So the input field gives you automatical option to iterate things you said. So if you click on this up arrow, it will give you number, it will start increasing the number for you. Like it will be increasing your number. But if you click on the decrease arrow here, it will decrease the number. Do you understand? Yeah. So I want you guys to I'll give you assignment that you should go and read up on other attributes you can pass to an input field. That is the assignment and submit next class. Other attributes that can be passed to an input field. Like there are a lot of attributes that can be passed to an input field. Other attributes that can be passed to an input field. So the type of an input field, value, and there are some other attributes you can pass to an input field automatically, like the minimum value, the maximum value, pattern. So don't let me tell you. So just go and do a research on those kind of attributes you can pass to the attributes you can pass to the input field. So I mentioned that there's one other input field that is that we need to talk about. So and that's the password. So when they tell you press your password in one input field online, so that is the particular field they are using, and the type is usually password. The type of that field is password. So let me refresh. Now when you try to type your password, you see my screen gives me an hash value. I can't see the text. Just give me an hashed text. And that is because of the security. When you pass it to type of password, it believes that the user credential you are trying to pass it and submit to the backend. So that's how it works. And so now we have talked about password, talked about numbers, we talked about email, talked about text. Um, so also, okay, you can also pass in dates to the type of an input. So when you pass it to date, it gives you a calendar as a drop down where you can select the date that you want to pick and time. Yes. So that's an assignment. So you guys will research on that and how it works. And add it to your page. Add input field where users can register or whatever if it is your contact us. When you can register or things like that. That is what we are going to do next. So now for the form, now that you have created all your form, there's something we call button HTML, and it is called action. That is the way you fire action in HTML. So when you click on the button, you need to click on the button. So you have encountered that in any website, any app. You see that you click on button after you maybe put in your credit card, maybe submitting a form or doing something. They tell you to click submit after you sign it. And what do they make use of? The mix of various things, but the major standard is to use a button. You use a button tag. So there's a tag called button. And okay, let me show you immediately. So now that I've put now, all right. Sorry, it has to be inside the form. So we'll be able to submit the form. So inside the form, I will do button and put submit. And see a button. So in some scenarios, um, yeah, in some scenario, you always see a button, but some scenario, the button will not look like this, depending on the browser or things like that. So now, when you submit this form, the way HTML works, you try to make post all your requests to the server, to the database. But because we don't have any database, it's not pushing anything anywhere. But the way this system works here, so the way this the way this thing works now is that when you click to submit, it automatically refresh this page. But naturally, what you want to do is automatically take the imputed data of the user and try to submit it down to the backend. But because we don't have any backend here yet, we just refresh our pages. So let me quickly fill in the form and say John Doe, that's first name, grab Doe, email, number. So can you see this? The email I was talking to you guys about. That when you give it a type email and you don't put a pattern that matches an email, it will tell you it will to show you a warning message from the HTML. So you need to do at whatever it is dot. So change it again. Because that's the proper format of the email. So now let me submit. Right guys, it's submitted, it's refreshed this page. And the reason it refreshed is because it tried to imitate the like it's trying to submit to a browser. But naturally I didn't connect this application to any server. So it tried to submit to a server, but I didn't connect this application to any server. So it just reloads our page and we try to maybe fill the form if it is something. So and that is how button works. So there is one important attribute on the button that when you put it, it changes the dynamic way or the way a button behaves. If I add something, if I add a particular attribute to the button will not submit our form again. It will not submit any form. It will not submit any form again. So this our next assignment is find out for those attributes on the button and the English field attributes you can add to them. So and make sure you use them on your page and your video. Make sure you use them on your page. So you need to create an increase form where maybe user can sign up, where user can contact you, user can log in. So that is our assignment for next week. And be getting prepared because next week we'll probably be starting CSS. So that is it. Thank you very much. Okay. Please, do you have any question before we end? Wrap? Any question from anybody? The assignments? No, I'll put it on the stream. I'll post it. Yeah. So, alright. Since you people don't have any question, I'll be expecting your assignments and have a great weekend. Right? So, are you done copying? Are you done with this? Seeing this